gonna get shot.
A high-speed chase in Siouxland ends with guns drawn.
Plus, the Siouxland program helping foster kids start their lives. And this week's Siouxland story, your KCAU 9 News at 10 starts right now.
We are Siouxland proud. This is KCAU 9 News at 10.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Seaman.
And I'm Sophie Erber. At least one person is in custody tonight after a high-speed chase and a standoff here in Siouxland.
An eyewitness account of what happened in our top story tonight at 10. That pursuit ended about 26 miles from Sioux City, just north of Walt Hill, Nebraska, in Thurston County. The driver also leading authorities near the communities of Homer and Winnebago before finally coming to rest in a ditch near Walt Hill.
That pursuit ended when the driver managed to avoid the spike strips deployed by law enforcement, but crashed into a ditch and rolled over. KCAU 9 News obtained this exclusive phone video of the chase shot by another driver who had pulled off the road just before this incident.
Officers, including members of the Nebraska State Patrol, quickly surrounded the disabled vehicle, holding the driver at gunpoint.
Put the gun down or you're gonna get shot. Throw the gun out the window.
Local authorities, as well as officers from the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the FBI, remained on the scene for several hours. The driver taken into custody and that vehicle towed away.
An eyewitness telling us it was a chaotic scene.
The cop had those spikes out, and the guy tried to avoid him, and he went off the road, flipped over. So all the cops got out and was telling him to get out of there, and I guess he pointed a gun at him. And I was like, oh, man, I said, I hope this is not going to be bad.
No details of what exactly led to that initial pursuit or how the standoff began that followed the crash when it ended. No, none of those details have been released, but Thurston County officials say one person is being held by Omaha Nation law enforcement in Macy, Nebraska. Of course, KCAU 9 will continue providing new information as soon as it becomes available.
Sioux City police tonight have determined that a series of fires were intentionally set over last night. We previously reported on 3 fires set in the Riverside area. Now, they were all lit between 10 and 10:50 in the evening. An apartment building, detached garage, and family home were all set afire. Fortunately, the flames were contained to the outside of those buildings. Police tell us there were no injuries.
Iowa Republicans have advanced bills that will add more protections for police officers, a move that critics say goes against the fight for racial equality. In January, the governor proposed her Back the Blue Act. Reynolds says that it's designed to make progress towards racial justice while also protecting police officers. Now, Republicans have advanced the measures that would penalize cities for defunding the police and increase the penalties for assault of an officer. However, state lawmakers have removed the provision that would have banned racial profiling across Iowa and would have created a data system for then tracking it.
We're not following in the footsteps of the advances in justice made through the plan from a perfect union. You can stand up for law enforcement and also stand up for the communities that they police at the same time and have accountability.
The 3 bills do include one which would deny state funding to cities that reduce police budgets. Another would give civil remedies for officers who believe a complaint against them was false. And a separate bill would increase penalties for assaulting a police officer.
The U.S. House also pushed up a vote on a police reform bill after security concerns at the Capitol. Last night, the House passed the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, a sweeping overhaul of the nation's law enforcement system. That act also passed the House last summer, but it failed the then Republican-led Senate. Now, getting Republicans on board this time will be an uphill battle as well. Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott says that Democrats weren't willing to compromise last year, and Indiana Republican Mike Braun says that he doesn't think Democrats will have the votes they need to pass it this year. But both say they're willing to come to the table.
Well, that doesn't mean just because you're a Republican, you don't get engaged in policy.
There's going to need to be some bipartisan dialogue.
President Joe Biden has already voiced his support for the House-led bill, which now moves on to the Senate.
And the Senate is currently considering another round of COVID-19 relief, as we know, for struggling Americans and businesses alike. If passed, this $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan would allocate funds for stimulus checks, reopening of schools, vaccine distribution, and much more. The bill now faces a vote-a-rama of sorts since the bill is not expected to attract any Republican votes. All Democrats will need to support the bill in order for it to pass.
Meanwhile, the number of Iowans eligible to receive the coronavirus vaccine will expand next week.
That's right. The health department says that Iowans 64 years of age and younger with medical conditions putting them at greater risk can begin scheduling appointments starting on Monday.
According to the CDC, those conditions include cancer, kidney disease, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and many others.
Now, the vaccine will be expanded to additional groups once supply increases. If you'd like more information about these groups and who's eligible, just visit our website right now. It's all at SiouxlandProud.com.
For years, there has been a need for foster homes and foster care. But what happens to an 18-year-old that's no longer able to stay in a foster home, ready to age out and not have a place to go?
It's an issue. KCAU 9 News reporter Marina Bach is sharing one program that is trying to help prepare these young adults for life out on their own.
Tim and Sophie, the 18-year-old I spoke with, has been in and out of foster care a majority of her life. But she has found a new beginning thanks to resources available here in Siouxland.
In Iowa, there are more than 10,000 kids in the foster care system. But each year, an average of 450 18-year-olds age out of foster care.
I was going to probably be in the streets. I was probably going to be at some house, not knowing where I am, just kind of fending for survival, basically.
Last year, Ayla Larson found a new beginning with the Crittenton Center's Supervised Apartment Living Program, also known as SAL.
Helped me just kind of become a better person, knowing that I'm going to be successful in life. And I think I got to that point where I'm satisfied with what I'm at right now.
Larson is one of the 35 young adults that receive support from the SAL program. The goal is to help them become independent.
Our support team helps them with everything from cooking and budgeting to going out and applying for jobs, purchasing that first new car of theirs, or going to school. Anything to help them get a better start in life once they get out of the foster care program.
This opportunity is one of a kind, providing a safe net for Siouxland youth that may not have any other options. And this is all made possible through community support.
It's really important to keep the funding going so we can help those teens as they go on to be successful adults. And so that's where funding is so key. Funding from the state, funding from private donations are extremely important. Any support that we can get to make sure that we're helping the teens in our community.
Larson is a success story. She took the lessons she learned in the program and is now ready to apply them in her everyday life after high school.
And I want to go help people through maybe a senior home or a retirement home. I have my eye on a few places. Once I get that, I don't necessarily know where I'm going to go, but I know I'm going to do great things.
Another program that supports 18 to 23-year-olds who have aged out of the foster care system is the Iowa Aftercare Service. Young adults can apply to receive financial assistance as they transition into adulthood. The program is supported by 9 nonprofit organizations across Iowa. Marina Bach, KCAU 9 News.
Yet another good example of those nonprofits in our community doing such great work.
Yes, especially for a very vulnerable population. Well, it's time now for our first check on the weather this evening. And Marcus, not as warm as it was last night, but Tim, still felt pretty nice even during dinner.
It's still a nice day, no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. We had a little bit of wind today and temperatures a touch cooler compared to yesterday, but overall upper 50s, low 60s today throughout much of Siouxland. Still feeling really nice out there. Currently looking outside right now from the KCAU 9 studio, brought to you by the Port Neal Welding Company. We are seeing clear skies for the most part. It is a fairly quiet night, except the wind a little breezy in the 40s and 50s. Saturday looking to be in the lower 40s, so seasonal temperatures looking possible by the end of next work week. And this is a picture of a lot of geese. It almost looks like a field or something with some flowers out there, but really that's a lot of birds there, and they're on the lake, Browns Lake in Salix, Iowa, sent in to us by Delbert. So thank you for that picture. If you have any pictures to send our way, go to SiouxlandProud.com, click on the weather tab, drop down to send us your photos to upload some pictures. Tim and Sophie.
Really does, Marcus. I thought it looked kind of like those wishing flowers at first glance, but they're alive and they're birds.
I was going to say poppies look like a poppy field almost.
Pretty cool. They say that necessity is the mother of all invention. That is certainly true for a pair of Siouxland men.
Next thing you know, I wake up the next morning with a notepad It was a napkin with a drawing of a pair of overalls with a 6-pack cooler.
Now they're taking their unique invention to television in hopes of landing a shark. This week's Siouxland story next.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Tim Seaman, Sophie Erber, meteorologist Marcus Beasley, and sports director Jake Jones. This is KCAU 9 News at 10. KCAU.
Ever had an idea, one of those can't-miss propositions, at least you think so, but never actually followed through with it? If so, you are like most people.
And that's what makes the story of a pair of Galva-Holstein graduates so special. For 3 years, Earl and Buddy, as they like to be called, have been pushing a product they dreamed up. Now it's getting national exposure. How it all happens in this week's edition of Siouxland Stories.
So I had this idea about 3 years ago now. We were at a football game.
And yes, the rest is history.
Really, really exciting. It's something I never thought would happen.
As for what happened, well, at a football game in 2018, Ness says he wanted the convenience of being able to carry around a cold beverage and keep it cold. And Muff Waiters was born.
Next thing you know, I wake up the next morning with a notepad. It was a napkin with a drawing of a pair of overalls with a 6-pack cooler. I just pursued it, and here we are.
These specially made bib overalls are billed as the only bibs made for work and play. They feature a zip-up front cooler big enough to hold a 6-pack and side pockets for whatever's needed.
I had these guys out of Australia that are like, man, we fill it up with water in like big jugs in our pockets. It just kept morphing into more and more things and practical uses.
Those waders shipped as far away as Russia and China. A single social media post and cross-country tour in this beat-up 1990 Chevy van.
This is basically our corporate office. Every business meeting or anything we've ever done has been in this van. Basically, anywhere there's a gathering of a bunch of people, and we just try to show up and sell.
Propelling Ness and high school buddy Garrett Lamp to sell close to 1,000 units of the waders in the last year.
Go Packers! You know, when we show up places like we did at Lambeau Field, it just, you know, and we drove all the way there in this van. You know, there's just something about it that people want to come up and ask, you know, what are you guys doing? What is this?
Launching the pair on an unexpected success story.
Just shaking hands and kissing babies.
Rapid growth, producing a fair share of growing pains.
It took us a long time to get inventory, which is a whole nother like ball of worms. I don't know if that's the right term to use. Anyways, it sold a lot better than we thought we would, so it was a lot to handle right away. But.
And where do entrepreneurs go for help?
All roads lead back to Mr. Wonderful.
Just when we thought we were done, Shark Tank calls, and we ended up being on Shark Tank. I don't even know how to explain it. It's awesome. It's been fun.
After months of negotiations, the waders are featured in this week's edition of ABC's Shark Tank.
I'm not going to lie. I was peeing my pants before we went on set.
You're drinking beer on Shark Tank?
Like, it was the real deal. There was lights, camera action, all sorts of stuff.
The pair quarantined for 10 days in, of all places, Las Vegas before meeting the Sharks and making their pitch.
We sat in this waiting room with a bunch of people who may or may not have been the nicest folks.
Until showtime, what happens is top secret.
I don't even know. I think we crushed it. We might not have. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
But Ness knows what he and his buddy want to get out of the pitch.
I like doing handshake deals. Like, I like it when you tell somebody something, they say they're going to do it. We also wanted some help towards like licensing and kind of navigating all the new things we had coming up. So that's the story of Muff Waiters. I guess we'll find out tomorrow night how it all ends up. Who knows? Me and Buddy might be broke after tomorrow night. Check back to find out. Tune in.
Now, it was actually last fall that they taped the segment for Shark Tank, and as they say, we'll find out tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, right here on KCAU 9.
Long time for them to keep quiet about this.
No
I would be very excited, and I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, myself as well.
Well, great story there. It was another exciting day as well in Des Moines as basketball teams are trying to clinch their spots in the finals.
Will any Siouxland teams make it, though? We'll find out in sports.
Well, Welcome back. There is a ton of basketball action tonight as Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota teams all hit the courts.
KCAU 9 Sports Director Jake Jones brings us the highlights. Jake?
Tim and Sophie, welcome back to the Wells Fargo Arena. And though our Siouxland teams are done for the night, that doesn't mean there aren't still plenty of other sports to talk about this evening, starting with the Nebraska Girls State Basketball Tournament as they, too, open up semifinal action today. Starting with the reigning D2 champs, Wynot facing Falls City Sacred Heart. Tied game, Eden Sudbeck with a strong take to the tin. Wynot up 21-19 in the third. All the fun stuff that you guys are looking for. That's your check on sports. Tim and Sophie, I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Indeed, what a busy day.
I know, and it's not over for us. Our team's here, so that's exciting.
That's right. Unity Christian today also winning at the Iowa tournament to stay alive.
Congratulations to them, too. Big stuff. Well, we will check in for one final look at your forecast through the weekend. First, let's take you outside right now in Siouxland.
Overnight tonight, we are going to see those temperatures drop down to right around freezing, so a chilly night ahead, 29 degrees for your low temperature. Mostly clear skies, a pretty quiet night. Tomorrow, if you enjoyed today's weather, you're going to love tomorrow's as well. 57 degrees, sunshine, calm winds. That weather will carry over into the weekend, so make plans now.
It'll feel even better, too, because it's Friday.
You're right. And enjoy it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here on Friday.
And we'll see you then. Good night.